Peter in Venitzia, you're on KGO.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. I wanted to let you know that I am very grateful and I support your views and your efforts. I wanted to just point out that there is a way, as one of the callers mentioned last hour, to verify if there's an illegal tap, at least in my mind.
Okay, before you continue, let's for the folks listening, what do you mean by illegal tap?
Well, maybe I used the word inappropriately.
Well, it's very easy to confuse, and I'm very familiar with the electrical utility system, transmission lines, and what have you. I've done some of the most thorough experiments anybody has. Tell me what you mean by a tap. There's two places. One, a tap means you are taking power, electricity, off the system that is not being metered and you're not being charged for it.
Right, and I am not judging anybody.
Well, I don't care. I mean, tell me how it's done. I want to know what your understanding is. Tell me something. I obviously don't know something about this. You're saying that these meters can detect this. How do they detect such a tap?
If you have two smart meters that are monitoring both voltage and current, then it's very easy to, and ignoring, I have to say this, ignoring the calibration concerns that we've been discussing. If you look at these two meters, you can determine if there's a voltage drop that's unexplainable between the two meters.
Well, wait, just a second. You must define what you're talking about. I don't know if someone's told you this or not. But there is always a voltage difference at any place on a transmission line, on a distribution line. It's not always because somebody is tapping it. Don't you understand that every transformer, every installation that gets power can be called a tap on the distribution line? It looks like that until you get to a meter. It's taking energy off the line. There's no way your smart meters that you're talking about can tell the difference if somebody gets a ladder and goes out with his own little manufactured transformer and couples to the distribution line and gets a little power.
Well, it wouldn't, in my mind, it would not be something the meter itself can do.
Well, then what are we talking about? You just said you two smart meters could detect this. I'm asking you, how do you go about that?
Well, if the meters are theoretically transmitting their database, if you will.
Peter, I think you're hallucinating here. I'm sorry. You're not making any sense in terms of basic electrical engineering or the technology involved. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, Peter.
Well, I'm familiar with
Peter, have you ever done this? Have you ever gone out and done an experiment and made measurements on a power line?
Well, I thought I had.
Peter,
I was hallucinating.
Where did you do that, Peter?
I did that on a design that I was working
on a paper and pencil theoretical design. Peter, you have never gone out and measured the characteristics, even the simple voltage of a distribution line. Do you know what the typical voltage step downs are on a transformer serving a house? What are they?
I would assume it'd be in the 30 to 50 millivolt range.
Peter, what have you been drinking? Come on, you're wasting a lot of airtime. 30 to millivolt range, that's crazy. The 30 millivolts is swamped. We're talking about hundreds and thousands of volts on these lines, Peter.
Well, maybe I misunderstood.
You have misunderstood it all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be kind to you. But you're making this up, Peter.
Well,
you're making this up. It's like telling somebody normal arithmetic doesn't work. Come on. Now, please.
Are you speaking in terms of the step-down transformer from the high voltage to the 220? I mean, what is it that you're speaking of as far as voltage drop? I'm just talking about the line, the 220 line as it runs from house to house.
It is not a 220 that runs from house to house, I'm afraid, Peter. It doesn't, if you understood the most basic thing. The 220, 240, as it's normally called now, feed to your house, comes from a transformer. But the next house gets a feed off of that transformer, another transformer. They're not running series around through the houses where one meter can check the other one. Now, come on. We've wasted too much. Peter, I'm telling you, you're nuts.
Well,
you're nuts, okay? Peter, you do not understand what you're saying. I'm sorry. I have to try to be kind to you. But I'm not going to have you fooling a lot of people and a lot of listeners, okay? KGO time, 12:19.